Our society regards democracy as a sacred value. People should have a say in the decisions that impact them. The people affected by a decision should be the ones to make it. These are the things that we tell ourselves. And then we expect people to endure dictatorial conditions every time that they go to work. We claim to love democracy, and then we expect people to endure autocratic conditions in the workplaces that dominate their lives. This is an inconsistency, and what is more, an injustice. We can and should be pursuing democratic workplace arrangements. We can and should be pursuing an economic model that is by and for the working class. Businesses should be miniature democracies, not miniature autocracies. Worker-owned businesses already exist. Worker ownership is both possible and desirable. We should expand our democratic values into the workplaces that dominate people's lives. It is an absurdity that our society holds democracy to be a high value, while expecting people to endure dictatorial conditions and autocratic structures every time that they enter the workplace. If we truly believe that people should have a say in the decisions that impact them, then workplace democracy is a necessity. Workplace democracy ensures that those who control businesses are held to account and regulated by those who face the consequences of their decisions. Workplace democracy encourages workers to think far more deeply about business, in doing so getting more minds involved in the economy. By giving workers a voice, workplace democracy encourages the questioning of power, and helps to ensure that those who make big decisions are properly regulated by those who their decisions will affect. Democratization measures also ensure that no individual holds enough power so as to be corrupted and consumed by it. Workplace democracy discourages decision-making that hurts and endangers workers by giving workers a say in those decisions. Workplace democracy undermines class hierarchy and disempowers the capitalist class. Workplace democracy gives wealth and power back to the people who work so hard to generate it. Workers should not be utterly reliant on vulnerable structures such as unions. Union breaking will be far harder if the union is the business. Many consider unions to be the solution to the issues of capitalism. Worker control over and ownership of the workplace is a far more effective solution. Unions allow workers to have a fighting chance in the clash of interests between workers and business owners. Worker ownership abolishes this conflict altogether. Giving workers a fighting chance is not good enough. We should seek a world where economic affairs are not characterized by an eternal conflict of class interests. This conflict is ultimately detrimental to both economic productivity and the well-being of all. Worker ownership gets employees invested in their workplace and interested in its financial success. Sharing in the profits maximizes the power of the profit motive and encourages efficiency and innovation on the part of all workers. Worker ownership ensures that hard work is encouraged and rewarded by giving workers access to and control over profits. Workers will be encouraged to work harder and smarter when they have direct access to and control over the fruits of their labour. In current times, businesses are torn apart and dominated by strife originating from the conflicting interests between those who work the means of production and those who own and control the means of production. Worker ownership of and control over the means of production allows this destructive conflict to be reconciled, helping to maximize the efficiency of firms, which will no longer be at war with themselves. The economy should not be defined by class conflict. The economy should not be at war with itself. The economy should be a place of cooperation and camaraderie. We need an economy by and for the common worker. Work should not be degrading. Work should be empowering. Give workers power over their workplaces, and it can be. Workplace democracy will significantly reduce the hierarchy that characterizes economic relations, decreasing inequalities and addressing the dehumanizing and degrading nature of a powerless life at the bottom. Workplace democracy leaves workers feeling empowered and valued, improving human well-being as people get to view themselves as a meaningful component of their workplace, as opposed to just another cog in the machine. By producing a relative harmony of interests and significantly decreasing power imbalances, workplace democracy provides the groundwork for a healthier workplace culture. A culture that is not rigidly divided along the class lines that we all know far too well. Workplace democracy does not have to be implemented through hardline mandates and compulsory democratization. We can begin simply by incentivizing such arrangements. We can begin simply by encouraging and empowering the worker-owned and controlled model. Our goal is worker ownership of and control over the means of production. Our goal is an economy that is by and for the workers. Workplace democracy incentives include subsidies, interest-free loans, preferential contracts, tax breaks, startup payments, and access to financial guidance and business support services. Firms will be given guidance on how to meet the standards of worker control and ownership that qualify them for an array of rewards for doing so. These standards will include the expectation that such businesses contain democratic processes and shared profits. The goal of such a policy is to encourage a move towards worker ownership and control over the workplace. We can and should be encouraging and incentivizing democratic workplaces. Just as we have a government by and for the people, we must have an economy by and for the workers. We can have democracy in the workplace. We should have democracy in the workplace.